So let's just go down a little bit here. Now, we talked about battery life, so we talked about performance. Now let's talk about sort of the day-to-day use of this particular laptop. The biggest problem with the laptop, I'm just going to move it here so we can kind of see it, the touchpad. Now, I don't know what HP did or what kind of brand of touchpad this is. This is a multi-touch touchpad, and I'm going to show you what that means. Of course, that means that you can zoom in to certain pages and it will show them in a larger view. So let me just kind of show you here. On the touchpad, I'm going to be doing this, and on the screen, as I perform that motion, you should be able to see it changing. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So it finally happened. Now, the touchpad, it kind of sucks. I hate to say this because this is a pretty nice laptop otherwise, but there's been a couple things. I noticed that on two different occasions I would be going to use the touchpad, and it happened actually quite frequently when I would go ahead and I would I'd wake up the laptop from hibernation and I'd go and I would try to use the touchpad, and I'd wiggle it and wiggle it, wiggle it, and the mouse cursor would not be responsive. Or if it would be responsive, I'd do a little sweep and it would move just like a couple of millimeters on the screen. I don't know what HP did with this touchpad, but it is honestly one of the worst touchpads I've ever used. Now, I think that this can be fixed with a driver update or a firmware update. I'm really hoping that that is the case, but right now, out of the box, this is not a really good touchpad. So in addition to the touchpad not working sometimes, and I'd move it and it wouldn't work, there have been other times where it just gets all funky. It gets almost trapped in the multi-touch. So I would I'd do multi-touch, and then I'd go ahead and I'd try to do something else, and it would be stuck in the multi-touch. And so every page that I did, every page that I would load with using this, and I move the cursor around, it would be all kind of just screwy, and I don't know how else to explain it. I'm not doing a very good job, but I would really encourage you to go out and check out this touchpad for yourself, because I really found it a little bit frustrating. Now, if you're one of those people that likes to use an external mouse, you just want to plug it in the side, a wireless mouse, then this issue won't really impact you at all. But I really hope that HP can address the touchpad issues with some driver updates, because it is just way too funky to be able to use. Now, speaking of funky, let me show you something that HP did here. HP did this little toolbar, and so it gives you like a shortcut to launch Media Smart. It gives you a shortcut to launch this HP Advisor, etc., etc. But it's kind of weird, and the reason why is that down here, so this is Windows 7. When the dock is loaded, it loads up, and it actually sort of shows you the dock being loaded down here. And so right when you boot up your computer, you have an icon that is sort of lit up like this. It's kind of weird because that's not entirely how Windows 7 is sort of supposed to work. If you have a program running, it should be down in the system tray, and the only time you should see the icon lit up down here is if it's something that's actually running in a sort of a full window is typically how it works. So again, I'm not really impressed with how HP did that. You can of course deactivate the toolbar, so it's certainly not the end of the world. I want to talk about performance in another way. There's a program that I use, and it is called ProShow Gold. And what I do is I have a set of 10 images, and what I do is I create a simple slideshow, and so what I do is I just drag these images down here, I create a simple slideshow, I output it to a 1080p video, so an MPEG-2 file at 1080p, and then the program very helpfully tells me how long that actually takes. So this is what the test file looks like. I'll make it go full screen here in a second. Now, as I mentioned, because this has the AMD, or rather the ATI Radeon processor for graphics, the GPU, it has no problem at all playing 1080p video. So it's really smooth. It works really, really nicely. So no issues at all there. The question, of course, is how fast does the AMD CPU actually do the job? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up the test results here. I'm going to zoom in. So in order to do that test that I just did, it took this particular laptop 6 minutes and 44 seconds. Okay, 6 minutes and 44 seconds. Now, compare that to the Dell Adamo, the dual core. It took it 5 minutes and 56 seconds. So the Dell Adamo is at 1.2 gigahertz. The dm3 is at 1.6 gigahertz. The DV2, which is also at 1.6 gigahertz, it took it 7 minutes and 3 seconds. So pretty close, okay? How does that compare with an Atom processor? An HP Mini 1000, it took it 13 minutes and 32 seconds, okay? So that means that the DV3 at 6 minutes and 44 seconds is a little bit over twice as fast as the Atom processor. Of course, this particular computer, the DV3, the model I have has dual core, so it has 2 CPUs. So, of course, it should be doing things twice as fast. Now, how does that compare with more powerful processors? My Core i7-920 computer overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz did it in 39 seconds. So that gives you an idea of kind of the performance differences. Now, my XPS M1330 at 2.2 gigahertz completed it in 3 minutes and 32 seconds. So what does this all mean? This just simply means that if you are looking to do a lot of video editing and rendering and whatnot on this type of computer, the AMD CPU is really honestly not that great for video editing. Yes, it will work, especially though if you want to do that, get the dual core version, but it is not exactly a performance speed demon. But of course AMD designed it to be low voltage and not really overly focused on performance. Now, we always get asked about, I get asked about games. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to load up Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I'm going to show you guys what the performance is like basically at the only resolution that I could actually get it to work at. So the native resolution on this screen is, I believe it's 1366 by 768, I think. And I tried running at that resolution. It was a slideshow. It was totally awful. Anti-aliasing was set to 2x, which is as low as it can go without it being turned, off, frankly. And yeah, it was pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So now the resolution that this game is actually playable at, I'm gonna double check this afterwards, but I think I have it set at like 640 by 360 or something like very, very low. Like it's just a really, really, really low resolution. So yeah, so now as you can see, the game is playable, but it's not, the frame rates are not really high. I mean, frankly, I don't think we're even hitting 30 frames per second here. We're probably more like maybe 15 or kind of 18 frames per second. So it is playable. But let me just go in and let me check and see what the options were. And honestly, I'm having a bit of a hard time, controlling the cursor here. Part of that is just simply because the graphics on this. The game, the higher the resolution, the slower the interface here is to work on this particular game. So I was playing that at 720 by 480 and 2x anti-aliasing. That's not really very high resolution. Now, so what does that mean? That means that, yeah, this GPU can be used for gaming, but you really, I guess, just have to be careful in terms of like what types of games that you actually play it on. First-person shooters, it's not really going to do a very good job. But if, of course, you're doing something that's a little bit less intense, like maybe some online, MMORPGs. I have not tried World of Warcraft, so don't even ask me about it. But certainly, Flash-based games and maybe some slightly older games would work out pretty good. But yeah, that's kind of all I'm going to say about it for gaming. So I think I've talked about most of the things that I want to talk about. The thing that I do want to mention is the fan port here. So I'm not sure if my microphone will actually pick this up here because I'm pretty close. But the fan port is in a good place in terms of how far it is away from the user's hand. On the DV2, they put the fan port over here. So they put it right where, frankly, if you're left-handed and you were kind of resting your arm here, you'd have hot air blowing on you, and that was just a disaster. Like, I think that was a horrible design decision. HP put this air port in a great location. It's a little bit loud. Now, that is totally subjective. One person's loud is another person's silence. For me, if I'm sitting in a room and there's no music playing and there's really nothing else turned on and I'm using this laptop, if I can hear the fan when I'm not stressing out, like I'm just sort of browsing web pages and I'm not stressing out the CPU, if I can hear the fan, I consider that to be a little bit loud. So in my opinion, HP needs to do a little bit of work to make this a little bit quieter. But you know what? If you're listening to music or really there's any other noise, you're not going to hear this fan. So again, I want to stress that's purely subjective from my point of view. I think this is a little bit loud, but if unless you're sort of like me and sometimes you like working in sort of pure silence, you're probably not going to notice the fan on this laptop. So that's about it for my review of this unit. From a price performance perspective, this is a really impressive laptop. It has a gorgeous finish. It has really nice design. It is thin. It is light. It has a bunch of ports. It'll really, I would say it's, you know, great for students and sort of everyday general use. The battery life on it is decent but not fantastic, so it really depends on what kind of battery life you're looking for. I've already talked about that. It will do kind of everything I think an average person would want. It's definitely not a gaming laptop per se. So if you are, you know, you really want to do some gaming, you're going to want to get something more powerful than this in terms of the CPU and the graphics card. But you know what? For everyday general computing, I think it's a decent laptop. The big problem with, in my opinion, is that issue with the touchpad. So I'm really hoping that HP is going to do some driver updates. This is, of course, running Windows 7, so maybe there are some Windows 7 glitches with the particular hardware that they're using. I really want them to update the drivers on that. Once they update the drivers, I'm hoping that that will fix the problem. So I would say that I recommend this notebook, but with a little bit of concern just over that touchpad, because I know that if I bought this with my own money, and let me just point out that this is a loaner from HP, I have to send it back to them, so I can't answer any more questions basically after I publish this video. But if I spent my money on this and I was using that touchpad and it was crapping out on me, I would probably be pretty upset. So I really hope that HP addresses that particular issue. I mean, overall, this is a really nice notebook. Great design, you know, decent performance for the price. That touchpad issue concerns me, but there you go. So this has been a rather long review video from Jason Dunn from Digital Home Thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please check out the buy link, which will be over there or down there if you're interested in buying one. Comment, subscribe, and rate our video. I always appreciate the feedback. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching this video.